Hello everyone. Today our group will be presenting a topic about how to develop a database. Before we go any further, I would like to clear that this presentation is constructed from chapter 3 database lifecycle from our database course. Let's continue. For your information, our group consists of 4 members starting from Ali Akhtar bin Anwar, Iman Shafi'i bin Haize, Muhammad Ikon Ashraf bin Muhammad Razif, and last but not least, Muhammad Izam Izani bin Muhammad Nazir. The database lifecycle consists of 6 phases. First, planning phase. Second, design phase. Third, implementing and downloading phase. Fourth, testing and evaluating phase. Fifth, operation phase. And lastly, maintenance and evolution phase.
Alright, so the first cycle is planning. So what is the database planning? It is actually a phase where in database development where the focus is on understanding the needs and constraints of an organization. And during the phase, information requirements are gathered to ensure the database will meet its intended purpose. So there is three basic factors that influence this phase. So the first one is the task that needed to be carried out. Next is existing resources to implement it. And lastly is finance or allocation provided. So there's actually four activities in the planning phase where the first one is define objective, the second one is define problems and constraints, the third one is analyze the organization's current situation and define scope and boundary, and lastly is feasibility research.
Alright, for database design, the database design phase is vital as it determines the overall performance of the system. This phase involves representing data and their relationships, creating a data model to support recurrent transaction, and ensuring the design fulfills user and system requirements. It is divided into three stages. First, conceptual design, which defines the structure of the data. Second, logical design, which develops the database schema. And last but not least, physical design, which focus on implementing the system. So these steps ensures the database is efficient, functional, and reliable.
So let's move on to the first category of designing database, which is conceptual design. So conceptual design uses data modeling to realistically present real-world objects. And conceptual design is divided into three sections, which is data modeling, normalization, and data model validation. So the first one is data modeling, which is it requires the designer to understand the overall data characteristic by asking questions regarding information requirement, source, content, and user. And the purpose for this is to translate the real world data into a structured format that aligns with user requirements. So next is normalization, which it determines the dependency of attributes on an entity and fixes relationship between entities via common attributes. And lastly is data model validations. So there is an ERD that has been built upon data modeling and normalization that must be tested on the system process and function proposed to confirm it can support the task mentioned.
Alright, for logical design involves translating entities, attributes, and relationships into a data model compatible with the database management system. It ensures data credibility by checking constraints and allows flexibility for future change. Common models include the hierarchical model, which organizes data in a tree-like structure, and the object-oriented model, where data and relationships are treated as objects with multiple connections. Alright, for the last design, physical design. Physical design focus on the practical aspect of storing data and optimizing system performance using the DBMS software. A good physical design ensures efficient data storage, indexing for faster queries, and data access optimization by minimizing these operations. It also supports scalability to handle future growth and integrates backup and recovery mechanism to maintain data integrity during failures. This factor collectivity enhance the database performance and reliability.
Once we finish designing the database, we'll move into the next phase, which is implementing and downloading. In this phase, developer can choose to develop a prototype or the whole actual system. There are three key activities. The first one is set up the database management system. which is we need to install and user must adapt into it. Number two, create database. We will create the database using data definition language. And the third one is user can download and change data into the database table using data manipulation language.
For testing and evaluation phase, this phase can only be carried out when real-world data is added to the database. There are several activities involved in this phase. First, we have to test the database and application procedures. We can do this via unit tests, integration tests, and system tests. Second is the database evaluation process, where we evaluate its performance and security. The fifth phase of DBLC is operation phase. This phase begins when the system operated in actual environment. The analyst must prepare the user manual, user training, and technical support once the system established. So, how do we carry out this phase? There are actually four ways to carry out this phase. First, direct transition process. Second, parallel transition process. Third is pioneer transition process. And lastly, staggered transition process.
And now we will remove into the last phase, which is maintenance and evolution. Maintenance and evolution is a process of monitoring the performance of the system and database. The database needs reorganization and readjustment if the system at unsatisfactory level. This phase is important for correcting error, adapt to the change in the rules and policy, and of course for support the needs of user.
There are four routines in maintenance and evaluation phase. Number one, preventive maintenance. Number two, corrective maintenance. Number three, adaptive maintenance. And number four is security audits.
To sum up our presentation, DBLC is a vital component to master if we want to create a highly functional database. 6 phases of DBLC: planning, design, implementation and downloading, testing and evaluation, operation and maintenance and evaluation, allow developers to properly build the database by considering the data characteristics and requirements first rather than database functionalities.